Hello, g'day everyone. I did put a post in my community stuff, but that's okay. I know it's the 4th of July. Happy 4th of July. Yeah. It's been fun this past week. Not. Had to go back to Adelaide again. And yesterday. And then, so I was up at 5 and left about 5:30 because it was just ridiculously foggy outside. And so I knew the first 100 Ks that I had to do was basically dark, unlit country roads with thick fog. Can't really do 110. But that's okay. I managed to get there and got there on time and did my job and measured up a house, well, 1.5 basically, and then pretty much got out of Adelaide. But had to stop out at Bush because I've been having troubles with gas bottles or propane bottles. So the problem is that a couple of months ago, my previous little 2-burner stove, which has treated me for the past, I'm going to say nearly 20 or 30 years, decided to die. How did it die? Well, the hose that connects to the gas bottle and then connects to the actual 2-burner stove decided to start shooting out flames, which was fabulous. So I immediately turned the gas off, and of course the flames went away. It wasn't being fed anymore, and thought, oh well, I'll just go and get another lead. So I went to the hardware store. They changed the regulations. You can't get those hoses anymore. So basically the little 2-burner stove pretty much had to say its final goodbyes, and I had to get a new one, which was great. Had a gas bottle, connected to it easily, and we're back in business, right? But no, that gas bottle a couple of weekends ago decided that it didn't want to supply gas anymore, so clearly it was empty. So I grabbed my spare bottle, because I always keep a little spare one out there. Different fitting. Something that I hadn't realised. And so I've then thus spent the last 2 weeks trying to get something to fit the old gas bottle. So basically, the problem is that apparently they changed all the regulations with regards to the way they do the gas bottles. For those in America, propane bottles. They completely changed all the leads. They changed all the connections. They changed everything. And apparently they've stopped making the old connections. They've stopped making the old hoses. And so if you've got a gas bottle that sits around and you, for some reason, something breaks, I don't know, and you go, oh, well, I'll just go down the hardware store, grab the spare one and connect it up again. Bum-bum. It's not going to work. So basically I've now got a 4-kilo gas bottle that I'm going to have to do a swap and go and hopefully get my money back for it, because it is still filled. And I've had to buy a new one with new connections and everything else so that my little 2-burner stove works again. I don't know why they changed it. I haven't looked into it. But to say that it's a pain in the bum, and there's a pile of people out there who are going to be happily cooking at Christmas or birthdays or whatever, are now going to have to go out and get a brand new gas bottle, because basically the connections, you're just not going to be able to get it. It's as simple as that. So I'm putting this warning out to you now, to check all your gas bottles or propane bottles, because they've changed everything. Changed the connections, changed the fittings, changed the hoses, all the way along the line. So even if you get a swap and go from a Bunnings or something along the lines of that, make sure it's got the right connections. And I know that sounds like a silly thing, but it is very painful to go through this, and it's like, and it shouldn't be. I don't know why they changed it, because like I say, now I've got a $50 gas bottle with $15 worth of gas in it, and it's junk. I can't connect anything to it. Nothing I've got connects to it. So I'm hoping I'll get my money back, but I have a feeling that's not the case. I can only imagine they've done this because of safety. Because I can't think of any other reason why you would go ahead and change all the connections. It doesn't make sense. My day, it's Sunday, so I thought the hardware store was going to open at 9, but no, they opened at 10, so I've been up since about probably 6:30, 7 o'clock this morning, doing a bit of work, because I work for myself, as well as waiting for a hardware store to open so I can actually go and change the gas bottle over, which I've now done. And so now I've got 2 gas bottles, and I can't take the gas bottle, the old one, to the swap and go, because the girls who actually work at the shopping centre survey are going to have absolutely no idea what to do. So I'm going to have to wait until Monday or Tuesday to go and take a perfectly good gas bottle back, because nothing fits it anymore. So yeah, it's a pain in the bum, but it is what it is. So yeah, I was hoping to do this live, and then basically, I don't know, go for a drive this afternoon and see what happens. Depends on how the live goes. So yeah, but yeah, so it's kind of annoying with these gas bottles, because I thought I was okay. So it is a Caravan, and then the Ghostbusters car is behind it, Ecto 1. And then that aerial is on the back of the DeLorean. So, no, I don't have a Lego semi-truck. I would love to get a model of a K200 or a K909 Kenworth, because they go through all the time. But I want a specific colour, and I can't find one. So until, I'm not just going to go out and get a model of a truck, until I can get the colour that I'm actually after. And the colour I'm after is like a graphite grey. If I can get one of those. The K200s are the ones without the bonnet, and the K909s are the ones with the bonnet. But I want something that's decent. Yeah, I've got the okay. So I do have the James Bond car and the Porsche, although I made it into a Cabrio, and then the Mustang, and then the Z28 Camaro. So yeah, got plenty of Lego. So this is just my office. So, and I've got the Titanic, but that's in another room, and I've got the Concorde, and I've got Optimus Prime. And I've got a few other bits and pieces as well. So, used to have all the Star Wars stuff, but I sold it all. Don't have that anymore. So, I didn't have anywhere to display it, so there was no point. It was just sitting down the shed collecting dust. So, but yeah. Dream car is a 68 Chevelle. Yeah, my dream car is an Audi Quattro Sport from about 1984, 85. And that's my dream car. They used to use them in the Group B rally cars. And so, yeah, it was forward disc brake, ABS, leather seats, electric windows, yeah, and around about, I think they came standard with around about 300 or 400 brake horsepower. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind the old muscle cars. They look pretty cool. They certainly went like a shower of shit. But yeah, I mean, it's funny. Cars are. I mean, I love the Audi Quattro. I love the 1980s versions of the Toyota Supras, like the Supra Celicas, and then the model after that. Love those. And what else is there? The Mitsubishi Starions, used to love them, although not too many people know what they are anymore. I love the, I mean, obviously, I grew up in the 80s, so, kit was just the be-all and end-all. Kit, including with the flashing red light. Newer ones, wouldn't touch a newer one with a barge pole, to put it mildly. I wouldn't buy a new car, at least, well, based on the information I know, I wouldn't buy a car from around about 2020 onwards. I wouldn't touch them. They've, as much as they are nice cars, they've just got so much stuff that you just don't need. And so much thing can go wrong. And I actually did a live at one stage, and a video about it, because I came across a video on YouTube where a guy was suggesting that insurance companies these days are basically writing cars off for hitting a shopping trolley at a supermarket. Why? Because behind the front bumper is a radar and a computer, and apparently all you need to do is practically touch the damn thing and it breaks in half. And on their own, they're about $2,000, but then to recalibrate them costs an extra $5,000 to $6,000. I mean, as much as we go on about technology to keep you safe and all the rest of it, it has gotten beyond a joke, and it's like a phone these days. Like, I had a 5110 back in the day, and you could drop that thing off a 5-story building and pick it up and make a phone call and message someone, and wouldn't have bothered it. These days, you only have to look at an iPhone, and the screen breaks. It's just ridiculous, and it's no different to cars. You break a side mirror. And we've all seen it in traffic. You watch the side mirrors on new cars, and the damn things light up like a Christmas tree as soon as you get anywhere near close to them. Because they've got all this tech in them, and it's just. And somebody said, if you snap off one of those side mirrors on a new car, and I don't care what sort of car it is, there goes the better part of about $3,000 to $4,000, just for a side mirror. Forget about anything else, just the mirror itself. And it's not because it's the actual construction of the mirror. No, it's because the mirror has about 3 computers in it, which is connected to a main computer in the car. And, you've actually, yes, you can replace the mirror, that's not a problem, but getting it to actually talk to the existing computer and making sure it's all calibrated and working well can take 6 to 7 hours from a mechanic, and that's if you're lucky. So it's not about just replacing a part anymore. It's making sure that you've just about got to have a computer degree to basically get them to talk, which is just stupid. Is it a common thing where you live? But squatted trucks look so bad, and I like it. In some places it's illegal. Okay, so there's a lot of, I don't know where you live, Austin, but in Australia we've got snub nose trucks, and we've got the ones with the bonnet. I know in America the ones with the bonnet tend to be more popular, but places like Europe and Australia, we basically have everything from Scanias to Volvos to even the Kenworths. Like I said, the K200 is actually, it doesn't have an extended bonnet out from the cab, so they're pretty much but they're everywhere. So the Kenworths I think are still the 18-speed manual with the but they do actually now come in automatic. And so the Volvos, the Scanias, I think Western Star is still an 18-speed. What else is there? The Kenworths, the Max are still 18-speed, but everything else is pretty much just auto. And anyone can just get into the cab of these things and basically start driving it. It's like driving a Dodgem car. If you can drive a car with an automatic gearbox, you can get into a truck and drive it. It's pretty simple. Manual Kenworth, the T909s, which is the one with the bonnet. They basically have the manuals. I believe you can still get them with autos, but they're not very popular. People who want Kenworths want 18-speed gearboxes. It's part and parcel. But geez, they're nice trucks. They really are nice. Especially with the sleeper cabs on the back, and the big bull bars and everything else. I go past them all the time. So they pretty much run up and down the road with 2 trailers on the back. It's just everyday life for me. So you get occasionally ones with 3 trailers on the back, but the road trains tend to be up in Northern Territory and outback Queensland, Western Australia, and those sort of places, and that's where they get up to 4 to 5 trailers. How long am I going to be live? Depends on how many people turn up, mate. I don't know. You guys have got 4th of July stuff, so that's why I kind of waited until later in the day for you. I've got a bunch of people that may or may not come on for my lives all the time, so I don't know. I'll see what happens. If people come on, they come on. If they don't, they don't. So, and that's fine. Oh, okay. I think the longest one I've ever done was about 3.5 hours, which was crazy long. I'm sitting here yakking for 3.5 hours and wondering why I can't talk by the end of it. So, that's kind of been my day today. I've been sort of paying attention to your celebrations over there, but what's your feeling about the whole 4th of July this year? Let's start with that, because people are going to have different opinions about it. I found it interesting that Tokyo lit up and had fireworks last night, I think. Israel's lit up their parliament. But then there's some places in the US where nobody's celebrating it. Because as far as they're concerned, it's 250 years. I mean, look, that is something to celebrate. I mean, 250 years is a pretty long time, really, for a modern country. A lot of people, some people sort of really enjoy it and are going to get a lot out of it. Other people are sort of wondering what's happened over the last 15, 20 years and whether it's sort of for the people, by the people anymore. I don't know. I mean, as long as you've still got a constitution, or as long as that never goes away, then it'll be fine. I did see the Blue Angels, a video of the Blue Angels going over New York, which was really clever. They lit up 250th in the red, white and blue, which was pretty damn cool. I don't know quite how they did it, but yeah. So that was pretty cool to see. And I think they had a whole bunch of helicopters do some flyover somewhere else. So yeah, you're not the only one. We don't have that sort of situation here. So yeah, we don't have we've got a constitution, but it's not anywhere near like what America's got. No one's got that on the planet except for the US. So which is fine. As long as they never get rid of it, then they'll fine. You guys will be okay. And there's a lot of people that fight for everything, because they are trying to get rid of it, but it's not working, which is good. I like it. I think Trump even signed a declaration a couple of days ago because a guy was on his driveway doing an oil change, and the cops turned up, arrested him, put him in jail. Took him to court. The judge threw the book at him and he went to jail. Why? Because he was doing an oil change on the driveway. And so Trump basically got him out of jail as soon as he found out. Changed the law and said, if you want to change the oil in your car in your driveway, that's never going to stop. If you want to do it, you get out there and you do it. So he actually changed the law and signed it the other day. What they're trying to do at the moment is basically try and stop companies like John Deere from basically not allowing farmers to actually service their own vehicles anymore. They're basically stating that the vehicles these days need specialised equipment and you're not allowed to have it. So if you're out there on a combine harvester at 2 o'clock in the morning and the bloody thing stops working and you've got rain 2 days away from you and you need to get this thing back up and running ASAP, you need to be able to fix it. But that's not the way it's being dealt with at the moment. Basically, you've got to ring your John Deere mechanic. He's got to come out. You've got to pay him for this. And he's got to fix the tractor because you're not allowed to touch it. Now, if you're in the middle of a paddock or a field doing your harvesting at 2 o'clock in the morning, you've got every right to fix it because you need that thing back up and running as soon as possible, because you need to basically do that entire field, get it all harvested before the rain comes, because as soon as the rain comes, that field's done. It's destroyed. You can't do anything about it. So they're trying to get that changed, and I believe it's in federal court at the moment because farmers have had a gutful of it. They're sick of it. They don't want to be told what they can and cannot do on machinery they've paid money for. And most of these farmers will pretty much do basically anything and everything. If something needs to be fixed, they don't get someone in, they fix it themselves. But yeah, it's absolutely crazy what they're trying to do to people, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And like I said, these cars these days, I wouldn't buy anything after 2020. I've got a 2018 Mitsubishi Triton dual cab, and that's only done about 150,000 kilometres, and I apologise, I'm not talking in miles, but that'll be good for the rest of my life. I'm not going to get rid of it, so, and I certainly don't intend to spend money on a brand new one. Not with cameras facing you as you drive along, not with trackers in the stereos and God knows what else. It's a bush car. It goes bush. So has it got faded paint on the bonnet? Yeah, it has, because Mitsubishi's paint jobs are just atrocious. And is it dirty? Yeah, it is. It's filthy. I mean, it's a black car trying to pretend it's white. But am I going to wash it? Probably not, because, I went for a drive coming back from Adelaide yesterday and went out bush, and the car was white again. And I'll be out there, depending on how today goes, either later this afternoon or next weekend. So it's going to get dirty again. So there's no point in me washing it. So it is what it is. As long as mechanically it is as good as I can get it, then that's all I care about. The inside of the car is nice to drive, so I don't tow anything with it. So it'll do me until it dies or I die. So we'll see what happens. So, but yes, that's my car. But yeah. So fun and games, and hopefully the 4th of July stuff goes well, which I'm pretty sure it will. I know there was a lot of people worried about it, whether other people were going to get involved and make a mess of it, but I sincerely hope it all goes well. I know a lot of you guys are sort of either doing family stuff or having fun, basically, because that's what you're meant to be doing, celebrating your nation's birthday, and that's not a bad thing. So, and anyone who wants to interrupt can go to hell. So, fun. It's not coffee, it's iced coffee. So yeah, it's so we'll see what happens. Hopefully everything goes well. Hopefully everyone enjoys themselves, has a great day, spends a bit of time with family, try and get out and see some of this stuff, and just forget about everything for a couple of hours until, what is it, Saturday over there at the moment, I think. It's Sunday here in Australia. So, in fact, it's actually the 5th of July here. So, and then, then you've got the Sunday to recover, and then back to work on Monday. Woohoo! So, do you have any questions? Anything you want me to talk about? I can talk about pretty much anything. And I have done before. So I'm located in Australia, obviously. Can't tell by the accent. I'm actually located in South Australia, which is a state of Australia. So over on the east, talk about different kinds of cars. Okay, so you guys have trucks. We call them utes because trucks to us are Kenworths, to put it mildly. So we basically have a lot of what we call dual cab utes, which is where you've got 2 seats in the front, 3 in the back, and then a tray on the back of the vehicle. They've become incredibly popular. In fact, I think the Toyota Hilux and the Ford Ranger pretty much outsell just about everything else. And I mean, people do still drive SUVs. We're starting to get a lot of electric cars, although I don't trust them at all. And, the other day, this week, to put it mildly, I drove, and I apologise, I am going to talk in kilometres because it's just easier for me. So I drove from my home to Adelaide, back home again. By the time I got back, the service station or gas station was actually closed. And so that was fine. I got up, drove about 100 to 200 kilometres to where I knew there was a service station. And the pumps weren't working. So in the end, I had to drive back to Adelaide. And by the time I got back to Adelaide to actually fill the car up with fuel, I'd done 735 kilometres. Cybercars, not sure what you mean by cybercars. So yeah, I'd done 735 kilometres, which, and I am going to work this out for you because, so, kilometres to miles, so 735. So I'd done 456 miles. Cybertruck, yeah, okay. I believe they have got them out here, although no, we never see them. I'm pretty sure in Sydney or somewhere like that you probably might see one or two, but they're not popular at all. So most people in Australia will buy a diesel vehicle. You will very rarely. So over here, we tow. Basically, we have what are called grey nomads. They're bloody atrocious looking. They look ugly as all hell, these Cybertrucks. So yeah, we have what we call grey nomads, which is basically, I suppose they get to about 65 and they buy either a dual cab ute or a Toyota Land Cruiser. And then they go out and buy a caravan, which I think you guys call motorhomes. I'm not sure. A trailer home, something along those sort of lines. And then they travel all around Australia. And there's tens of thousands of them. And just about all of them will buy a diesel. A diesel vehicle. They very rarely drive a vehicle with unleaded fuel in it, or just gas, simply because of the fuel economy, and that's purely the reason. So most of them are towing around about 3.5 tonne, because that's the legal limit under a standard driver's license in Australia. You can go to 4.5 tonne. And that's where the Dodge Rams and the Chevys and things like that have come into the picture. So you do see those, quite a lot. Although not as big as what you guys get it. They're basically, I suppose, if you look at a Toyota Hilux, it's the next size up. And they're capable of towing about 4.5 tonne. I'm not sure what that is in pounds. But so you do see quite a lot of those around. But it's predominantly dual cab utes. The bloody things are everywhere, and I've got one, so I can't complain. You see an awful lot of Toyota Land Cruisers here, which you guys don't get. So that, whether that's the wagon version or whether it's the I call it, okay, it's a ute. So whether it's a single cab ute, they did do the dual cab utes, and so you see them everywhere. Just about every farmer's got one. So, and if they're not running those, they're running just a normal dual cab ute. Look, the older ones, the 80 series, if you can find one of those, get it. Those things they don't die. The only problem, I actually had one at one stage, and it was a straight 6 4.5 litre, but man, did that chew through some juice. Holy God. They are thirsty. That is all I'm going to say. So the next one up was the 100 series. It was like they'd taken the motor out of the 80 series, put it into the 100 series, and just added like another half a ton. So the initial ones were dreadfully underpowered. But by the end of it, they started getting a whole lot better. And then basically they brought out the 200 series, and just about every man and his dog, and I owned one of those as well. That thing was a beast, an absolute beast. Twin turbo V8 diesel. Out of the showroom, they had about 600 newton meters of torque. That was straight from the showroom. I had a 30-foot van on the back that weighed 3.5 ton, and I could sit on, what was it, 100, just a bee's dick above 100 kilometres an hour, so about 50 mile an hour all day, every day. And I don't care what weather. That thing just was more than happy with that weight on the back. And in fact, I drove from Adelaide to Darwin and back, and backwards and forwards 9 times with it, towing the van. And phenomenal vehicle. Just an absolute beast of a vehicle. It was brilliant off-road as well. I took it into sand. We did a boundary drive at one stage, up and down sand hills, and basically dropped the tyres down to about 15 psi, put it into low range 4-wheel drive, and straight up the hill, straight down. Didn't even try, just did it. So yeah, they're just insane. Great vehicles. 300 series, rubbish. Am I transgender? Oh dear God. No, I'm not. Music, anything from the 80s, 70s, 90s, and that's where it stops. Yeah. It's an age thing more than anything else. I mean, if you know that logo, it explains a lot. So, yeah. The 300 series, I don't know, they're plastic contraptions, and they've gone down to a 6-cylinder twin turbo, and it's all because of all the emissions stuff. It's ridiculous. The emissions thing has just killed cars. Full stop. I don't know. I don't like the new Land Cruisers. The shape isn't bad, but Would I have one? No. And there are 170,000 in here, Australia. So, you know, I'm not going to spend 170,000 on a new Land Cruiser. It's just not going to happen. I just think it's a joke. Even the dual cab utes, top of the range, are probably getting up to about 80,000. I mean, it's reaching the point where it's like, and half these people never take the bloody things off the road anyway. Country music. Look, I don't have a lot. I'm not really. Yeah, it doesn't do a lot for me. And mind you, at what point is it country, and at what point is it rock and roll? Because they both sound the same these days. Country music isn't like a banjo and a couple of guys singing anymore. It's, I don't know, country music used to be about, I took my truck out and it broke down, and then the dog ran away, and then the girlfriend started boinking my best mate, and it was all pretty bloody miserable, really. Yeah, classic rock is pretty much where I sit. I think these days country music's sort of gone more mainstream, I'm gonna say. It's not what it used to be. Like, country music back in the 70s was country music, it was instantly recognisable. These days, it just isn't. It sort of fades between, I don't know, between mainstream and whatever they think it is. I don't know. It depends on when you came into it, I suppose. I mean, Kenny Rogers was country music. That was country music. But even he was sort of borderline. We had people like Slim Dusty, who used to sing country music, and it was like, yeah, Johnny Cash was the same. He was country music to a certain extent. And then, you could tell the difference between someone like Johnny Cash and say, I don't know, the Rolling Stones. There was a definitive difference between the two. One was rock and the other one wasn't. These days, I don't know that anyone would actually be able to tell if you played the music and didn't say who was singing it. It's kind of one of those things. Yeah, I mean, who was it? Bob Dylan. I never really got into him. He just slurred. It was like he was constantly drunk. And even when he talked, it was like if he had a stroke or something. I don't know. I'm sure he was great in the 60s, but most people were on drugs back then, so, they probably understood him better than what we do these days. So, I don't know. Yeah, Johnny Cash, he's all right. Look, it's not the sort of music I listen to all the time. I'll listen to it if it's playing, but to be honest with you, I kind of reached the point at some point where I didn't really like the music that was playing, and so I went out and grabbed a whole pile of greatest hits CDs along with all the CDs that I already had, ripped them onto what is it called? Onto the computer, and then Windows Media Player, you could rip a CD onto it, and ended up with a library of around about 1,500 songs. And then I worked in Queensland for 3 months, and a guy came past my office and he said, "What music are you playing?" And I said, "Oh, it's just on my hard drive." I said, "I don't listen to the radio." And he said, "Do you mind if I borrow that tonight?" He said, "I wouldn't mind grabbing all the songs off it and I'll put a bunch on for you." And I said, "Yeah, that's fine. It doesn't bother me." So he took it home. And when he came back the next morning, he put like 1,000 songs on it. So, all of a sudden I had 3,500, 4,000 songs, and that's now probably sitting about 5,000 songs. And so I don't listen to the radio anymore. I don't really listen to any new music. I don't listen to anything really, except for those 4,000, 5,000 songs. As for my favourite artist, ELO, Electric Light Orchestra. First heard them in 1981 when I was a measly 10 years old, and heard their album Time, and that blew my mind. So yeah, and thus started a love affair, I suppose. So now I've got everything they ever put out, including posters and God knows all the memorabilia, that one collects when they follow a band. And so yeah, ELO, or Electric Light Orchestra. And Jeff Lynne is the lead singer. Motley Crue, yeah. I know who they are, clearly. I've heard their songs. Don't have a lot of it. Was never really into like the heavy rock, like the Motley Crues. Who else was there? I was never really. I did see Kiss in concert when they came to Adelaide, and that was when they weren't wearing their makeup. And of course, most of us, the real fans went along who knew all their music, had all their albums, etc., etc. And we've got along expecting all the hits, and they played them. That was good. And then they played their heavier stuff, and it was like, oh, that's a bit thrash. But that's what they were. People don't realise it. You buy Kiss albums, don't expect to just hear the radio stuff, because that was only a small part of what they actually did. Jimmy Buffett, oh my God, that's a name I haven't heard for a long, long time. I can't remember what he did though. The name is, I know the name. But can't recall what he actually did. I'm going to have to type that in now. American singer-songwriter. He passed away in September 2023. Let's see here. I do know the name, and I'm pretty sure I've heard his music. But not really a big thing. So where are we? Many hit records, including those known as the Big Eight. Margaritaville. Come Monday, Fins, Volcano, Pirate Looks at 40, Cheeseburger in Paradise. That just sounds good. Why don't we get drunk? Changes in latitudes, changes in altitudes. Son of a sailor. One particular harbour, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. And he formed the Coral Reefer Band in 1975. 30 albums, nice. 8 certified gold and 9 are certified platinum or multi-platinum. Over 20 million records worldwide. Not surprising. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I've heard at least 1 or 2 of his songs, yeah. He's done quite a lot. Or he did quite a lot. was he? Born in 1946. Geez, 76. Yeah, that's still pretty young. Far out. 76 isn't that old. I don't know whether I can. I don't want to get a strike. Probably play a little bit. Yeah, I better not play it just in case. YouTube is getting funny about what people do on lives. And I don't know whether you guys have ever done a live before, but here's how it works, right? So you do a live, I talk, people comment, join the live, etc., etc. And then when you hit end to end the live, it then takes around about, well, for me, anywhere upwards of 6 hours before it actually uploads, if you've made it public. So public means that it's for under 16s, basically. So you can select whether you want it private or public, depending on what the conversation is like. Most times I tend to make it private because there's swearing, obviously, and things like that. And I don't really know how far YouTube wants to take it. But what they do is they actually use AI to actually listen to the whole video, whether it's 3 hours, 10 hours, however long a live has gone for, right? And it actually listens and then provides a complete transcript of everything that's been said all the way through. It also goes through and figures out whether anything has been played in the background that might sort of have copyright issues because they can't play music unless you've got a license to actually play the music. So, which is why a lot of channels these days, especially ones that do commentary on world events, will only play like a snippet of a clip, especially if there's music playing in the background, because they don't want to get pinged after YouTube's gone through it all, after they've actually uploaded it. It's crazy what they do that people just don't see. And I didn't realise that they were doing it until I actually went live. And they do it with videos as well. Because it takes so long, like they say that they're uploading it because you didn't film in 4K, so we're having to transform it all to 4K or 8K or whatever they do these days. But what they're actually doing is going through and making sure that you didn't cross any lines. And if you did, your video gets out. They simply won't. They won't release it. So it just gets stopped immediately. And that's why you have to wait until you've actually got 50 subscribers so they can actually make sure the content that you're putting out is actually going to be acceptable from their point of view when it comes to a live. And they pretty much look at everything, absolutely everything, and it's all done by AI. And even if you haven't done anything wrong and they block you anyway, you've got no one to speak to. So you can't, you all you're doing is arguing with the AI. And that's, anyone who's spent 5 seconds on a computer these days will tell you that that's like bashing your head against a brick wall. You can sit there and argue until you're blue in the face, and it has no idea what you're talking about. It just doesn't care. It's already made up its mind, and it will just run with it. So that's why I don't really play any music in the background, because I would love to, but I also don't want to get hit with a lawsuit or something like that because I played some music in the background. But I will listen to it afterwards, yes. And I've actually got that sitting on my PC, which is right in front of me. So I'm sitting at my office desk. I work from home. I've worked from home for the past 17 years. And yeah, so my car basically. Hello, Bobby Sue. How are you? How's your day been? Yeah, so my car just doesn't go anywhere during the week. Yeah, it's the rules have gotten crazy with regards to what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. And honestly, there's nothing actually written. It doesn't tell you. It just, you've got to figure it out yourself. So, yeah, just next time you're watching something, Austin, just pay attention to what they're actually saying and not saying, and what they're playing and not playing, and you'll see it straight away. But like I say, until you actually do it yourself, it's like, oh my God, because I'd love to play music in the background. Stressful day for me, but hopefully it'll all work out later around midnight, God willing. Anyways, what are we talking about tonight? I've got no idea. Whatever you want to talk about, Bobby. I talk about everything and anything. So we're just talking about YouTube lives at the moment, because Austin wanted me to play a song, but I can't. I would love to play music. Yeah, play music, and look, at the end of the day, it's also, I think it's kind of silly, because it's kind of advertising the artist. It's almost free advertising to a certain extent, and I'm quite happy to say who the artists are and all the rest of it. You know, and what you tend to find is people will then go out and search for that music, and maybe if they're interested, they'll actually listen to more of it, or perhaps even buy it. So I think it's a bit silly, but in a world of litigation these days, it's kind of that way. What's been happening in my life? Well, this week has been shit house, to put it mildly. So I had major issues at the beginning of the week with technology. That was for a start. Just trying to get someone to share a live with me was like bashing my head against a brick wall. And then Wednesday I had what I thought were 2 appointments. So I draw houses. So what that means is basically every now and again I've actually got to go and measure up people's houses. And I've been doing it for, 25 years now. I couldn't even begin to tell you how many people's houses I've walked into to measure them up. How many photos I have on my hard drives of toilets and kitchens and everything else. So every now and again I'll get a builder who'll go, I've set up 3 appointments, can you go and deal with them? Yep, no worries. So the appointment's already made. I've just got to basically be there to at the time allocated, so I can actually go through and measure up a house. And so I had two appointments. The first one was at about 12:30. So I left home at 9 because I've got to drive 2.5 hours to get there. And went to the council, paid my rates, went to the hardware store, trying to find this gas connection, and they said, no, bring the gas bottle in. And eventually got on the road and started driving, and I was basically probably 3/4 of the way there, and I get a phone call getting abused because I didn't turn up to an appointment. It's like, well, the only 2 I've got are at 12:30, and the next one after that is at 4. And he goes, well, you were meant to be here at like 10. I said, well, I don't know anything about it. So I then spent the rest of that afternoon trying desperately to fit these people in somewhere, because between 12 and 4, that's 4 hours. It only takes me an hour to measure up a house. So surely I couldn't have. But in the end, it kind of worked out with her, because she just was going from one meeting to the next, to the next, to the next, and it was too hard to do it on Thursday. So I said, well, okay, let's do it tomorrow instead. And she said, yep, that works for me. What time can you be here? And I said, well, I can be there from 7 a.m. onwards. You give me a time, I'll be there. And she said, okay, what about 9 o'clock? Yep, that sounds great. Meet you at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. So I didn't get home until 8:30 Wednesday night. And then as I was on my way home, she messaged me and said, can we do 7:30 a.m. instead? And I said, yep, no worries. And so I got home at about 8:30, went straight to bed. I didn't eat anything, didn't drink anything, just got home, turned the car off, got inside, went to bed. Because being that I had to be there at 7:30 meant that I had to be up at 3 o'clock Thursday morning to be able to get there in time, because there was no way in hell I was going to be late to this appointment. So get down there. I got to just around the corner from where she lived, there was a shopping centre, so I just parked in there at about 6:30, and it was pissing down, like just pouring with rain, which was okay, you know, whatever. It's only water at the end of the day. It's neither here nor there. So, and then went around to her place at about 7:25, and she pulled in the driveway right as I was standing at the front door. So I went in there, measured up her house, went through everything she wanted. Eventually the rain stopped, so I ran around the outside of the house, taking a bunch of photos, doing measurements for offsets and things like that. And in the end, she was happy as Larry. You know, she was wonderfully happy with everything. And so I got in the car and was on my way home when I got a phone call from a builder saying, can you come down to look at this other job while you're in Adelaide? Yeah, that's fine with me. So I went down there, did that, and then eventually headed home. Got home at probably around about 2 o'clock that afternoon. So Thursday afternoon, and went straight into work mode and got the job that I'd measured up that morning drawn up. By 6:30 I hit send on the email, and so the job that I'd missed the appointment for, I'd then gone back to do it at 7:30 in the morning to measure it up, and by 6:30 that night the builder had those plans on their desk. And I thought, I can't do much more than that. So that was Thursday, and then Friday was basically got up, drew a house for a builder who just wanted really a floor plan and a front elevation. So I drew that up, sent it through to him, and then Friday night, pinged off another job that I'd measured up on Wednesday. So that's again by 6:30 Friday night. That was basically on his desk. And then Saturday morning was back up again at 5 a.m. on the road again at an appointment at 9 o'clock. Measured up that house, took a bunch of photos, had to photograph everything from the fences to everything. Came back, got back to the office at around about, again, 2 o'clock. Might have been a bit... I had to actually go out bush, grab the gas bottle. And so by the time I got home, it was around about 1 o'clock Saturday afternoon, and basically jumped straight onto the computer and drew the job up that I'd measured that morning. And again, by about 6:30, I'd done that job as well as another one. So yeah, this is what I do. One of the joys about being self-employed is that there are no 9 to 5. It doesn't exist. It's never existed for me. The fact of the matter is that when you're self-employed, and everyone thinks, oh my God, I'd love to work on my own. Don't. All I'm going to say is don't. Simply because instead of having one boss that really pisses you off, you open yourself up to 30 of them, all of whom think they're just as important as the other one. And you've got to play the game between each one of them, and figure out what you need to get out. And so basically, my job means that I don't stop until the client's happy, and I don't care which client it is. And if that means I've got to start at 3 o'clock in the morning or finish at 6:30 at night on the same day, so be it. You've just got to do that. And weekends are no longer your own. Weekends are basically what everyone else wants you to do. And in this environment where it's damn hard to get a job to start with, you want to try being self-employed for 17 years, because the chances that I'll ever get another job with somebody else is pretty much zero. And especially at my age, because I am over 50. It's basically impossible. So I've got to keep the clients that I've got as happy as I possibly can. And if that means I've got to work 15-hour, 16-hour days and work on weekends, so be it. It's just what you have to do. And I don't have a TV in this room. Yeah, I've got my Lego, I've got, books and things like that, but my job is my job. Some people either do desk jobs. I mean, I knew what I was going to do when I was in year 10 at school, for the rest of my life, and I've been doing it since then. So I've been drawing houses since I was probably around about 16 years old, which is frightening. And I haven't really stopped. So there's nothing about a house I haven't heard about before. I can turn up to whatever appointment I want. They can throw... It's funny, they throw the same questions at you. Everyone thinks they've got a new question to ask you, and it's like, you're asking the same question I've had asked 40 times this week. So, and that's okay. You get used to it. I suppose the benefit with my job is that I spend most of my time sitting behind a desk, which sucks. Everyone thinks, oh my God, you're an architect. That must be the most amazing job. It probably was 20 years ago. It's just a job now. You put the same amount of effort into it. But after you've drawn 20,000 houses, it's Look, deck building business. Oh gosh. Yeah. Why not? Get out there and do it. Just know that the cost of materials is going up and up and up and up and up. And the one thing you soon learn, particularly with running a business for yourself, is you've got to be organised in terms of invoices. You've got to be on it in terms of taxation. You've got to be on it in terms of, you might love building decks, working with timber. But if there's one thing I've learned, is that what you love doing when you start a business is only probably about 15% of that business. The rest of it is shit that you don't want to do, but you've got to. And that's where a lot of businesses fail within. So I think the average, most businesses started from scratch tend to fail within basically 12 months to 2 years. They don't exist after that. So what you end up having to do is, yes, you've got, it's something you enjoy, you love doing, but make sure you've got a good accountant. That's the first thing, because they deal with the tax, they deal with all your finance stuff. It's still up to you to sort of do some of that, but to basically do the basics and to make sure that, you know, you're scanning your receipts, you're keeping them in files, you know exactly where you stand. The other thing with particularly tradies work, which is what we call it here in Australia, but it's no different in the US, is taxation. That's the other thing. And making sure you've got systems in place that work. So the way I do it is I have a client folder. So I just use, what is it? Talk to me. I don't know what that is. Just Microsoft, you know, like on your C drive, on your computer. And I think there's certain ways to sort of do it, but basically I have a client folder, and inside that client folder, and the way I number my jobs is I take the first 3 letters of the road name, then the street number, and then the financial year. So if somebody rings me up and says, oh, I'm on site, I just need an extra measurement for, I don't know, 36 Elm Street, right? So what I do is I type ELM, and then I look for 36, and there it is. Find it straight away. Some people use a numbering system. I never got that. For me, it's a job. It's a new house or an extension being built at a certain address. So use the first 3 letters, then the street number, followed by the financial year. So 36 Elm Street would be ELM-36-2026, because my financial year runs between June and June. So, or the end of June and beginning of June. So, so that's what I do. Everyone's different, and surprisingly, I've never had a clash of 2 addresses. And under that, I keep my invoices in it. I keep all the photos that I take, all the drawings that I take, all the emails that I take, all the correspondence, all of it goes into that client folder. So everything associated with that job is in one folder. Once I open that one folder, obviously there's more, but it means that you can keep all your details in one spot. In terms of emails, because you're looking at getting into a trade sort of area where you're not actually at a desk, you're going to find that a lot of that stuff is going to come through on your phone. So you're going to be speaking to people, they're going to be emailing you, they're going to be, you know, SMSing you, whatever. The problem I have is that, as good as that is, and it's great for tradies because they're forever basically either breaking their phone or whatever, and what happens when you lose your phone? You lose all that information. So, you know, you've got to be sort of super efficient in terms of dealing with the stuff that you don't want to deal with, and that is basically all the invoicing and communication, etc., etc. So, which is just as important as actually building the deck in the first place. because clients are arseholes. That is just what they are. They will tell you to do a certain thing, and unless it's in writing, sorry, anything done verbally, no, has to be done in writing. You've got to treat, as much as you're trying to create relationships with clients, at the end of the day, it's a business relationship. It is not a friendly relationship, as friendly as it can get sometimes. You've got to treat it like a business at all times. It's got to be done by the book, because otherwise it costs. And that's the other thing, is insurance, because as soon as you become self-employed, it's not just about the business anymore. It's like you get a couple of months into this and it becomes your job, right? But what happens when you get sick? Like if you're working on a deck, you fall down and you hurt yourself, and then you're off work for 3 weeks. You've still got bills coming in. So you end up having to pay for insurances, and in all honesty, most of my outgoings are insurances. So I'm covered for life insurance, indemnity insurance. There's what happens if I end up in hospital for 6 months, insurance. So I've still got an income coming in, because you've got to cover yourself for all that stuff. So running a business, working for yourself, sounds great in theory, but it's all this other stuff that is actually included in it as well, that you can't do without. And you've got to sort of understand where all of that is actually happening, and you've got to have good people who are organising things like that, because as much as you work for yourself, there is actually a team that surrounds you. And these teams aren't in the car with you. They're not in the office with me. They're in their own office somewhere else. But if I pick up the phone, I've got a question, I want an answer. And they give that answer straight away. And that's the sort of people that you need to have behind you as well. It's not as simple as just going out and grabbing a bunch of tools. Like, what happens if someone breaks into your car the day after you bought all these new tools and steals all of them? You've got a business to run, you've got a deck to basically build, so you've got to make sure that gear is bought again and straight away. So you need an insurance agent. Just had the car broken into. They've stolen all the tools. How do I get to this job? Don't worry about it. We'll sort it out now. Have you got a police report? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, police number. Okay, here's the money. The money will be in your bank in a couple of hours. Go out and grab your new tools. And you're done. You're back on site straight away. It's this stuff they don't teach you. They don't teach you at trade school. They don't teach you at community college. They don't teach any of that. They teach you how to build a deck. And you've got to learn all this other crap on your own. And this is, it's rubbish the way they do things these days. They don't teach people how to do things in the real world, and that stinks. You've got to make mistake after mistake. Some of the mistakes will be costly. Some of them, if you're lucky enough, you'll get away with. But each mistake is a lesson learned. But rather than making the mistake in the first place, why can't they teach it? Why can't they say, okay, the first part of this is going to be teaching you how to build a deck, how to use your tools, how to do, etc., codes, things like that, right? The next part is how to run a business properly, not and only once you've passed all these things and you've got all that information, then can you go out and become an apprentice, and you put what you've learned into practice, and you get out there and you ask the questions to the boss, because it's not just about doing what the boss wants you to for the first few years. and you're going to get paid shit house as an apprentice in the first year. It's rubbish money. Like, people at fast food burger joints earn more than what you do. But then the second year, your wage goes up. And then the third year, you're out on your own and you're making 500 times more than that burger flipper. And a lot of people can't get through those apprenticeships because they're looking at their friends who are earning so much more money, and they're going, well, I don't want to do this. I may as well go and earn money now. If you stick to it, and trust me, you're going to go through bosses like they're pretty tough, but they've got a lot of experience and they're teaching you a lot more than what first appears. So providing you've got the patience to be able to do it, you will end up coming out far better than what your friends ever did. And getting into a trade is about the greatest thing you can do right now. Don't get into computers, don't get into AI, don't get into accounting, because all those jobs are going to vanish. But anyone who can work with their hands on a construction site, you've got it over everyone, and you will make a killing out of it. And it's a good job, and providing you've got all your side systems in place, you can go a long, long way. Just don't fall into the trap of leasing vehicles and doing things like that. Do it in a way where you're spending as little money on yourself and spending it on the business, but making sure that you've got. It's like a friend once said, right? A friend that I used to know many, many moons ago wanted to buy a Ferrari, dream car, right? I think he's crazy, but so his idea was that I need, and this is just basic sort of money, right? So his idea was that, okay, let's say for example the Ferrari is going to cost 30 grand, right? It's going to cost way more than that, but let's say just for now it's going to cost 30. You need 3 piles of 30,000 before you can actually buy that Ferrari. You need 1 pile to buy the car. You need 1 pile as a backup in case anything goes wrong, right? And you need 1 pile to make sure all the bills are paid. So if your Ferrari is going to cost you 30 grand, the only way you can afford a Ferrari is if you've got 3 piles of 30. If you don't have 3 piles of 30, you can't afford the Ferrari. Simple as that. Because that's the way real world works. You've got to have your bills paid first. Simple as that. Before you even start spending money on yourself. You've got to have a backup in case anything goes wrong. Whether it be, I don't know, something, your hot water service blows up, or whether, you accidentally hit someone with a car. I don't know. Doesn't matter. It's backup money. And only then, if you've got those 2 piles right, then you can afford the car. If you've got that same, 30, 30, 30. And if you can do that, that's what you've always got to keep in mind when you're running a business. You've got to have backup. You've got to make sure your bills are paid. And then whatever money's on top of that, up to you what you do with it. And you've got to keep those piles the same amount. It probably doesn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people, but it made sense to me. And that's the other thing. No one can tell you how much tax you're going to pay when you start a business. No one's got any idea. Oh, what do you think you're going to make? I don't know. I only just started. You tell me. So what do? You have 2 bank accounts. You've got one in which you do all your transactions, and you've got another one that you don't touch, right? And you just transfer money into this account, right? And that's not your money. That's the way you've got to think about it. Hello, Seraphim. How was your 4th of July? You guys even celebrate? No, we don't celebrate 4th of July, Seraphim. So, yeah. We celebrate January 26th, which is Australia Day. Go Australia. Yeah, so that's the way you've got to run a business, and you can't do it any other way. But like I say, Austin, it's one of those things that people don't explain either in a trade school, and they don't teach you in real life. You just stumble over this stuff, and it's why so many businesses fail, because what people really enjoy doing is such a small percentage of what you actually end up doing when you're self-employed. And you pretty much bust your balls for about the first few years, trying to basically keep everyone happy, and that's really, really hard to do. So there you go. I don't even know whether you're still here. Yeah, I mean, the fireworks are a bit cool. I think Austin disappeared. I think I put him off his idea of starting a business. It's like, oh my God, I've got to go through all that. Yeah, you do. Yeah, I was gonna come on here, Seraphim, and just go, Happy 4th of July, but then I realised that some people just don't want to be reminded. So I thought, no, I'll keep it on the level. It's just easier. I know. Look, Austin, most people don't. It's most people think, oh, I'm going to start a new business. Oh, I'll put a TV in the office and a couch so that I can fall asleep. It's like, what? You're there to work, not to bugger off. And like I said, Austin, most people don't actually teach this stuff. That's the problem. You find out on your own. You know, it's like, it's crazy, really. It's not easy at all. And you speak to a lot of these people, and half of them just don't give out this information. Like they just, it's because you reach a certain point of running a business, and you just do it without thinking about it. And you've got all these things in place, especially after 17 years as well, that you just don't think about it. And when somebody comes along and you start analysing, basically, yeah, I know, it's, yeah, look, even, yeah, schoolers, yeah, we've had a lot of conversations about the education system, and I don't care whether you're in the US or Australia, it's bloody useless in both. But what sort of frightens me is that even once you've sort of gone through school and you basically go into university or trade schools or TAFE here it is in Australia, they're still not really teaching half this stuff. It's almost like you need and even business degrees don't teach it. Like, you've got to kind of figure it all out. Unless you come across lives like mine and I spill the beans and tell you what the real truth is. Kind of scary. You were looking for Marfugel Live and forgot it was Saturday. He didn't even do one yesterday. He did a 2.5 minute video, and it was him standing on the waterfall trying to stop the dog from jumping in. So, yeah, because I was sitting here yesterday being Saturday for me, Friday for you guys, waiting for Marfoogle to start, and it just never happened. And in the end, I got so busy with work, I didn't even think about it. But yeah, this week has just been a mess, and I just keep on forgetting what day it is. It's crazy, but is what it is. So yeah, so Austin, it's kind of one of those things. I look, anyone who's basically straight out of school and looking at getting into construction, I would strongly suggest yes, do it. It's the construction industry is one of those industries that basically, I got to be honest with you, it looks after you in a way that I can't explain. There's I've met a lot of people in the industry over a lot of years, and I suppose because I've always been one of these people that when I'm at work. I will get the job done. I do it correctly. I'm the first one to put my hand up when I make a mistake. And so people have kind of gotten to know me. And a lot of the guys that I actually do work for nowadays, I've known for 20 plus years. And that's just part of, because look, a lot of guys have gone through building companies. They've been construction managers or, office managers or whatever. And they might have been through 2 or 3 builders, and eventually they do their own thing, and I'm the first one that they think of because I do stuff so bloody quick. I do it cost effectively, and I'm there when they need me, and that's what you've got to do. Luckily I'm single, and I don't have kids, so I don't have someone going, why are you working on a Sunday? No. If I've got work to do, I'll do it on a Sunday. I'll do it on a Saturday. Haven't you finished work yet? I got no one telling me anything. So, if I've got to work at 8:30 at night, or take a phone call at 7:30 at night when I'm sitting there in my tracksuit pants and watching TV and probably drinking a beer, well, I'll take a phone call. You're available. That's what happens. So, yeah, his lives have been all over the shop lately, Seraphim, I've got to admit. He's normally pretty good, but he has missed a couple this week, and there's been no real comment as to why. Because I'll sit there, for me, it comes on around about midday. So about 12 o'clock, sometimes 11, sort of from 11:30 through until 12 for me. And I'll be sitting there, waiting for it to start, and it just doesn't happen. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he's. I'm assuming he missed the Friday one simply because he went away, and that's why he did the little 2.5 minute video today, to basically just tell everyone that he's not in the office. So I didn't know he had a dog. I knew he liked cats, but yeah, he had a dog that was apparently about to chase a squirrel off the edge of a waterfall. So, but good on him. He's out there with his family. He's got about 7 kids. He's got kids everywhere apparently, so which is why he's forever probably sick. He's always got something the kids have brought home from school. It's just, he's a good lad. So, Yeah. So yes, that's how to run a business. What else have we discussed? My gas bottle issues. What else has there been? I don't know. Cars. What else do we want to talk about? Or have we all had enough? Oh, that's okay, mate. Yeah, all good. Look, the one thing I'll say is just keep asking questions. You know, and the other thing is try and speak to as many people who are doing decks as you can. Even if you take a wander around, if you see someone working, you know, just ask them. You know, some of them might not want to answer them, and that's okay. But the more information you've got, the better off you are. And you know, be careful about making, you know, I don't think you're that old, so you've got plenty of time to figure out what you want to do. You know, it's if you want to be working in construction, it's a good thing to do. And it's certainly well worth going down that road. But make sure you get the information you need as well. And even ask the tax department, you know, what things to look out for. Get on the websites, have a look. You know, it is. Just be careful of the pricing at the moment, because timber, I know, even here in Australia, and I have heard of it out of the US. The other thing, if you price a job, you know, like you go around, you do the measure up, ask the appropriate questions, and then you sit down, you price the job, you put on a margin. The margin is what you get. Just keep in mind that material costings are going up, and it seems like every bloody week they're going up. So from the time you actually sign a contract with a client to the time that you're actually ordering materials, if the price of the timber's gone up 2%, you've got to wear it. So you need to keep that in mind. So ask the question to the timber companies, wherever you're getting the bolts, the screws from, the nuts, things like that, the concrete. You know, and then the biggest issue with doing something that attaches to a house is, and we find it with extensions and renovations. So if somebody goes in and wants to do an extension, the price per square metre is actually a lot higher than if you're to build a new build. Why? Because existing houses, and you'll find this as you go down the track, existing houses have hidden things that just go wrong. So, you know, you might be looking at a deck, you might screw it into the timber, you might find the timber's got wood rot in it, and you know, you damage it because it's got wood rot, and the client comes out and goes, "You've damaged my house," blah. You know, so it's like you've got to be able to deal with these things. You know, and that's why I think doing an apprenticeship, as much as people just want to go straight from here to here, doing an apprenticeship is actually a really, really good idea, even though you're going to get paid crap for the whole apprenticeship, right? But the lessons you're going to learn are just priceless. You know, because you're going into a job, you've got no responsibility other than to do what the boss tells you. You don't have all the responsibility of the invoices and all the rest of that sort of stuff, but you can learn all of it for free. You know, and that is just, that is worth way more than what you get paid, and your pay will be shit house. I'm telling you that right now. while your mates are driving around in great looking cars, you won't be. And that's okay. But get through that apprenticeship. If that's what you want to do, get through it, and actually see what the boss is doing. That's where the real wage is. It's not in what you're actually getting paid monetary wise. It's the experience you're seeing of what he's going through, the questions you're actually able to ask him. You know, you put the effort in, you get out there in hot weather, pouring down weather, you do the shittiest jobs you can, but you listen and you learn, and oh my God, once that apprenticeship is over, you're done. You'll make 10 times more money than what your mates ever did. And they'll just go, holy crap, how did you do that? And that's what everyone looks at. They look at the end result. They don't look at that, what comes first. And the guys that are out there making shit tons of money out of doing this sort of stuff have done a lot of time before they've actually gotten to that point. And the reason they're now making a lot of money is because they learnt all those really bad mistakes, the good mistakes, everything. They've learnt it all. And so, yeah, you're going to get paid shit, but stick with it. And once you get through that apprenticeship, you're set for life. You'll never have to, you'll end up with your own gangs within a few years, providing you do things right. And it's a lot of right things you need to do. So, and then the world's your oyster. Seriously, it really is. So I can't say how good an apprenticeship is. It is the greatest thing on the world. Just bear in mind, you will be paid shit house, and that's okay. And you'll be worked like a dog, and that's okay as well, because if you show effort, you show the fact that you can turn up on time, you can do the job, you don't ask for breaks every 15 minutes, you just get in there, do what you need to do. If that's what you want to do, you're doing it for the love of it. And some days it'll feel like, what did I do this for? And then one day when the apprenticeship's over and you've got a gang, 2 gangs, you're boss of one, boss of both gangs, but you've got 2 gangs working under you, and you've got thousands of dollars rolling in every day, you go, is that why I did it? It just makes up for all those pouring down days where you're drenched and you really don't want to be there, or you don't want to get up because it's too bloody hot, or it pays for itself. It comes back in leaps and bounds. Yep. Construction work is not, look, whether you're working in a factory where there's lathes and things like that, or whether you're working out on site, doesn't matter. It's inherently dangerous. You're talking about blades and all the really nasty things that can do a lot of damage to a human being. You think of how easy those things go through a piece of timber. It's just, yeah. It's why I work in an office. The worst thing I get is a paper cut. And I say, it's nothing compared to what some of the guys I've seen. Oh my God. And look, I've dealt with the guys that actually do all the 3D drawings, right? I came across a guy a few years ago, or many years ago now, and he was doing 3D drawings because we wanted to get some 3D drawings so that we could turn them into brochures and all that sort of stuff. And I'd always had troubles with them because I'm looking at it from an architectural side of things, and And clearly some of these guys have come straight out of school and gone into 3D drawing and starting businesses, right? And most of them had no idea how to build a house. And that was the problem, because when you saw their 3D drawings, I'm picking up stuff that they're just not seeing. They're going, how are you seeing this? It's like, well, how many houses have you ever actually looked at? But this guy was actually a carpenter. So he'd left school, gone out to do first front, like wall and roof frames, and he'd done it for a number of years before he was up there one day, up on a roof, putting some trusses up, and g'day Kendall, how you doing? He was up on a roof frame putting some trusses up, and fell off. The first time he'd ever done it, and he'd been up hundreds of roofs by that stage, and he did his back in, and of course, once you've done that, there's no way you're getting up on a roof frame anymore, and so he had to reevaluate his entire life to figure out what he was going to do. And then somebody said, maybe you should do 3D drafting, 3D, elevations and, brochure designs and stuff. And he goes, oh yeah, I'll go off and do a course. So he went off and did a course, and really enjoyed it. And it was like going from one extreme to the next, but in this, he was actually building the houses, but just doing it on a computer and then rendering it and making it look pretty. And people were paying for it, like the company I was working for at the time. Except he knew how to build a house. It was completely different to what the other guy, like when you saw his 3D drawings, they were like, oh my God, you can actually build a house. Like pretty, you could see that straight away from the drawing. He's gone on to far bigger and better things just in that. And that's how the construction industry kind of works. There's so many ways you can go through the construction industry. And like I said, you do your job really, really well, and you get along with everyone. You don't go off your tree at every second person. You treat everyone with the same respect that you treat yourself. The construction industry will just look after you in a way that is hard to comprehend, because there's so many different branches you can go down. And just because you've injured yourself to the point where you can't do what you were doing doesn't mean you leave the construction industry. No, because people understand what you can do, and because you've got the same sort of skills to be able to talk to people, over a telephone. Like, you try and explain a roof frame over a telephone to an average person, and they've got no idea what you're talking about. But you need to be able to do that. So, and that's why he went ahead, and he's still doing that sort of work to this day. I think he was doing it for himself for about 5 or 6 years. And then someone came in and said, we'll give you $160,000 to come and work for us full time. And he said, okay. And as far as I know, he's still doing it. So, yeah, he doesn't do it for himself anymore. He does it for a boss. And he gets paid very, very nicely. Thank you very much. So, yeah, that's what happens. Try hitting your shin with a... I've hit my shin with a BMX bike back in the day. I've hit my shin with toe balls. Many times. Left a minute to think of late dinner idea. Yeah, I think I might have I bought some steak last night, and I haven't had steak for a long time, so I'm going to have a steak tonight. Lovely seeing you again, Seraphim. It's really good. I'm glad to see you coming out and saying g'day. It's cool. You have a lovely night. Enjoy your dinner. And start doing videos again. So, yeah. The construction industry is a good industry. I'll give it that much. Yeah. So there you go. I hope this is all helping you, Austin. I'm not really sure whether it is or not, but it's just me rabbiting on, really. I don't know where that blue sky went, but it's gotten really cloudy outside all of a sudden. But it is winter here, so which is why I'm sitting in the office with the air conditioner on. I think it was only meant to be about 14 degrees today, so I did want to go out bush last night, but work. What time is it for you in Australia? It is currently 12:33 p.m. on Sunday afternoon, which is the 5th of July. So technically lunchtime. But I'm not going to be eating lunch, so I have my iced coffee. So, yes, 12:34 now. And yes, there's a half an hour difference. I'm not going there again. I'll put Kim back. Boy. I don't know what time is it where you are, Austin? West Coast or East Coast? So it's either roughly 8:05 or 11:05. So where are we? Los Angeles 8:05, Denver 9:05, Chicago 10:05, Anchorage 7:05, Honolulu 5:05. Jeepers. 3, 4, 5 time zones in the US. Mind you, Honolulu's kind of, I mean, it's a state of the US, yes, but it's not really attached to the US. Anchorage. I thought Anchorage was in Canada. Unless I'm completely wrong. Jesus. No, we gotta go the other way, do we? North. Oh, yeah, it's up by... Yeah. Anchorage is more Canada. Good heavens. Yeah, so you're on the east coast of the US. Okay. Yeah, because it's currently 11:07 in Washington DC and 10:07 in Chicago. So there we go. And it's currently 12:37 where I am on the 5th of July. It's kind of weird how all these times and stuff work. But you get kind of used to it, I guess. We've got 3 time zones here in Australia, so we've got the East Coast, which is Queensland, New South Wales and Victoria, and then we've got Central, which is South Australia and Northern Territory. And then we've got Western, which is Western Australia. So, although that changes with daylight saving. So during summer we have daylight saving. Queensland doesn't have daylight saving, but New South Wales and Victoria do, and so does South Australia, and I think Western Australia has it as well. So if we're watching, many years ago when I was watching cricket, because cricket is a huge game in Australia, and we were in South Australia and it was pitch black outside and it was still daylight in Western Australia. So it's probably no different to the US, basically going from, say, somewhere like Washington DC across to Los Angeles. So we're looking at, how far is that? Kilometres from there. So that's 4,130 roughly in Australia from its widest point. From there. So we're about the same. So Australia is about the same width as the United States. And from the top to the bottom, not including Tasmania, because Tasmania is an island, is roughly 3,100. And America, I suppose down there, from there, come on, to there. Oh, Australia's bigger. The explosions stopped rocking my home half an hour ago. That would be from the fireworks, I'd imagine. Every dog in America is wishing it. It was in bed or under the bed. Yeah. Well, you guys would have had that going pretty much most of the day, right? I mean, if it wasn't fireworks, it was military jets, and if it wasn't military jets, it would have been helicopters, and if it wasn't helicopters, it would have been something else. You know, all stuff which is just not normal. And every dog within a 30-mile basic radius is just going, oh, it's just not happy. And every bug, animal, and everything else has just vanished. For some reason. I don't know why. Yeah. Have you had a good day, Kendall? Or did you just not leave home? Like, I'm expecting half the people I know would be in that boat. They just didn't leave. Yes, sir. Yeah. Look, I don't think... Nothing really overly wild happened today, though, did it? I mean, it was just another day. I mean, everyone's going to wake up tomorrow and go, well, that was fun. It's been like 3 hours since I've been here. Yeah, I don't know. It's... the live's gone 2 hours so far, which isn't too bad. I'm getting hungry though. I had a couple of pieces of raisin toast this morning and that was about it. And that was at 7 o'clock. Mind you, as you can tell, I'm not exactly suffering. One of the joys of working a desk job for 30 years. Sitting down too much. I don't know what I probably should consider actually going and having something to eat. Called The Long Walk. I'm going to have to... Oh, apparently it must be based on a book by Richard Bachman. Or Bachman. Stephen King's dystopian novel into tense survival thrillers where teenage boys compete in a grueling state-run walking contest. Slowing down only means death. Only one can win. Good Lord. It's like the Hunger Games. Blending endurance drama with emotional character bonds, Francis Lawrence creates a bleak, atmospheric tale that explores morality under an authoritarian rule. Critics praise its performances and tension, although its pacing and archetypal characters divide audiences. Sounds interesting. Sounds very much... Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds very much like a Hunger Games sort of style thing. Similar sort of thing where you basically, there's only one at the end of it, but you've all got to sort of battle to get to that point. Hunger Games was alright. I haven't seen The Long Walk. I want to see, what's it called? Yeah, look, forget about the hype. That's probably the biggest thing. Forget about everything you've kind of heard about it and just enjoy it as a movie. I mean, there are three movies, but yeah, I think if you kind of ignore all the crap, it's actually not too bad, because there was a lot of hype around it when it first came out, and obviously Jennifer Lawrence has become quite famous out of it. But again, I think the Hunger Games is probably more along the lines of a teenager, coming of age sort of thing. But yeah, and we talk about the Hunger Games sort of scenario a lot in our side of things, but I don't know, some of these movies I watch, and because Adam sort of mentions movies every now and again, it's like, yeah, I haven't seen that, and I have gone out and searched for it and watched it and gone, not really my movie. I don't know. I've got Hunger Games on DVD at home, and I might watch it once a year. Just sit down and watch all three in one night. And I don't mind it. I don't mind the military stuff and all that sort of business about it. So, but there's a lot of question about it. There's a lot of mistakes in it that I think there are, but I tend to psychoanalyze everything, so it's like, okay. Like, they get, at one stage they get nuked, and like 5 minutes after the nukes have gone off, they're out there wandering around with no protection or anything like that. It's like, yeah, I don't know about that bit. But is what it is. It's just a movie. It's not based on real life. So, mind you, you gotta seriously wonder some of these movies these days whether they are getting you ready for something. I don't know. I think people put too much emphasis onto that sometimes. Yeah, I've never seen it. Mark Hamill. Are you kidding me? Who's in it? Mark Hamill's in it? Set in the 1970s, the film follows 50 boys in an annually televised competitive walking contest meant to inspire viewers. Each boy must maintain a pace of 3 miles per hour. Holy crap. Jeepers. That's quick. 3 miles an hour. And failure to do so after 3 warnings results in death. The boy who lasts the longest wins a large cash prize and the fulfillment of one wish of his choice. That's it. Plot. In an alternate 20th century, the United States is a totalitarian military regime following a devastating civil war. The regime has established an annual event, the Long Walk, which aims to inspire patriotism and work ethic among the destitute as the country is in the grips of a severe economic depression. Where's this going? 50 teenage boys, one from each state, are chosen randomly, given water and rations, and must walk hundreds of miles non-stop while escorted by armed soldiers who also broadcast the event. So the soldiers are basically wandering along as well. Those who fall below 3 miles per hour or stop walking so they don't sleep receive up to 3 warnings before being executed. The walk ends when there is only one survivor remaining. Although the sign-up is technically voluntary, nearly all eligible young men do so every year in the hopes of improving their families' lives. Yeah, that's a Hunger Game thing. So Hunger Games is basically where the army comes around and it's like a lotto for a certain age group. So they pull a name out of the hat, and so they take 2 people from each district. But you can actually choose to volunteer. So say for example so the ages are basically I think 10 to 16 or 18 or whatever it is. So if you're an 18-year-old and they pull out your 10-year-old sister, you're probably more likely to volunteer, and that's the idea. And that's basically the Hunger Games. And then those people go from their district where they're pretty much struggling to survive, and they all get trained to the capital, which has just got money to spare, more food than you're likely to eat, clothing that's, hasn't been handed down through 10 generations. Everyone's got what most of these people consider to be mansions, and it's virtually televised, and you go out there and you pretty much try and knock each other off. That's pretty much the Hunger Games. So yeah, and then obviously, at some point the districts. So one district might do coal mining, one district might do power generation, one district does something else. So they're all around supplying the capital. So the capital, it's pretty much like politics. we're basically busting our ass for people who really don't care about us. But as long as we're happy, they're safe. It's only when we get upset that they start to shit themselves, basically. How long are you going to live for? Be live for? Yeah, probably not much longer, I'm thinking. Because I probably need to... Mark Hamill as the Major, the man in charge of overseeing the Long Walk. Okay. Mark Hamill was Luke Skywalker. It looks like an interesting film. In fact, I'm going to write it down. Because there is actually a couple of movies I wouldn't mind. And the other one I wouldn't mind seeing is Hail Mary. So that's 2. Because I don't mind movies with a bit of sci-fi in them, but Project Hail Mary. So I wouldn't mind seeing that. So I might have to jump onto JB Hi-Fi's website and order some movies. Any other good movies out there? I don't think there's been a lot of really good ones. It's been hard to sort of find them. And then some of these movies these days don't actually make it to DVD. They just go straight to pay-per-view, which is really annoying. Because I never got to see, because I don't have Netflix or any of those other subscription things. I don't want them. But one movie I wanted to see was from last year. It was the one that Barack Obama financed, but it never actually made it to DVD because I've been searching for it for ages. Produced. What was it called? Leave the World Behind. Yeah. I've never seen Leave the World Behind. And only because you had to get a subscription for some channel that I was probably only I just wanted to see that movie. I didn't want to see anything else. And I couldn't. I wasn't prepared to spend $30 a month to buy a bloody to see a movie. That was ridiculous. So, and it's never come out on DVD, which blows me away because I'm pretty sure there'd be a pile of people who would basically go out and actually watch it. It's so I think a lot of us just didn't bother seeing it. Because I actually wouldn't have minded seeing it, It's like this latest Steven Spielberg thing. But I can't, there's no cinema where I live. So is it justifiable to drive 2.5 hours and spend the money on the diesel? So that's 5 hours. Then buy a movie ticket. And of course, you don't just buy the movie ticket, you've got to get the popcorn and the drink. And depending on what time it's showing, I might have to stay in Adelaide. So that's like a motel room. Is the movie worth doing all that for? Probably not. So, half the time I just wait until it comes out on DVD and just buy it and watch it at home. Because even if it cost me $25 for a DVD, it's still cheaper. And even though I won't see it for like 12 months or however long after the movie actually was released, so what? It's like, because for me to drive into Adelaide and back, well, there's $100. Motel room these days overnight is probably around about $150, so that's $250. To actually buy the movie ticket plus your popcorn and your drink, I'm pretty sure that's probably getting close to $50. So that's $300 to go and watch a movie. Is it worth it? No, it's not. So you kind of get very... one of the joys about not living in a city, you get very selective about what you watch and what you don't. And it wouldn't be so bad if I was going there for work and I just stayed overnight. It's... If I've got to go down, it's... You sort of... We're almost to the point where unless you've got like at least more than one thing to do you really need it? Do I really need to leave the house? Probably not. So you wait until like you've got at least 3 or 4 things that you need to do, because then it becomes worthwhile. And you just have to wait. You just learn patience. Do I want to Leave the World Behind? Yeah, I'd love to. Can I watch it? No. I'm not going to sign up to a subscription service that has one good thing and all the rest is rubbish. So I can deal without it. Fandango is free. What is Fandango? Fandango. Movie tickets. What is this? Yeah, okay. Movie in theatres. Oh, okay. So yeah, that's a movie theatre. And what was the other one? Tubi. Tubi or not Tubi? Oh. Anything I got to give a credit card to? Not interested. Not doing it. So okay, register. Oh, okay. That's just a. So let's have a look at it. What movies have you got? Is it worthwhile signing up to it? Mr. Bean, Rambo, Escape from ISIS. Total Recall, yeah, I've got that on DVD. Chernobyl, got that. That was actually a good series. If you... Okay, so there was a TV series called Chernobyl, about the Chernobyl nuclear disaster. That is absolutely worthwhile watching. I can say that because I remember it. And to actually sort of, I know it's not completely accurate, but it's accurate enough. That was a really, really good series to watch. If you want something on DVD, grab that, because it's just a very good thing to watch. Escape 2120, yeah, that's free on YouTube. Reckless Kelly, oh my god, well that's Australian. He was famous for like three movies, and then no one's heard of him since. Pulled out of obscurity. I think he did Reckless Kelly 1, Reckless Kelly 2, and then no one's heard of him since. He just vanished. In fact, I'm going to Google him now because he deserves it. Reckless Kelly movie. Yahoo Serious. Yeah, that's the guy. I'm not talking about the... so hang on a sec. Yahoo. Born Greg Pede. Okay, so he did Young Einstein, Reckless Kelly, and Mr. Accident, and no one's heard of him since. Holy crap, he's 72. Jesus. Oh my lord. He looked like one of these guys that had come along and stuck his finger in a PowerPoint and his hair just went pooh. Far out. He's 72. When did I get old? Nah. Mind you, 1988. Do you know what the scary thing is? I mean, you get this, there's this guy on YouTube Shorts, and he goes, you know, like there were TV series that we used to watch about the people living in the 1950s when we were in the 1980s, and he said, if you film that today, it'd be a bit, so what was it? Like the... You know, the family TV shows that we all used to watch as kids? They were basically based on, like, they might have been filmed in like the 1980s, but they were about the times back in the 1950s, which was only 30 years. So if you film that same thing today, it'd be about a family living in 1996. And you're sitting there going, but that was only a few years ago. And then you realise 1996 was 30 years ago. It's like, what? What? I'm going to double check that. Yeah, 1996 was 30 years ago. That's horrendous. That is borderline. What the... That's not fair. At all. And like, so 1986 was 40 years ago. So if you say, okay, what was 40 years? So 40 years from 1986 back, 1946. And then you go, but that was so long ago. Yeah, something happened between 1986 and now. It's just gone too quick. It's like 1 minute it's there and next minute it's just gone. So, but anyway, I think I might stop it there. I'm rambling and I'm just depressing myself. So I'm going to say goodbye. I think you guys enjoy what's left of your 4th of July. buffering. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. You guys enjoy what's left of your 4th of July, and yeah, I will catch you guys later. So I'll catch you later. See ya.